If you're a photographer, you probably know that quarantine really isn't the easiest time to create. We're all stuck at home and we can't really venture outside, and so it's definitely easy to have a shortage of inspiration at this time. But today I want to break down 3 different self-portrait photography experiments that I've done at home. I thought they were a lot of fun to shoot, so I thought I would break them down and hopefully inspire you to try some self-portrait photography. So essentially I went for 3 different looks that all involve 3 different techniques. And so I'll break those down one by one, and then in the second half of the video, I'll do an editing portion. So the first idea is experiment with the flash. For this, I wanted to go for that minimal flash aesthetic. So I cleared everything off my desk and set up my camera. Then I shut the blinds, popped the flash, and with the timer on, I took a couple of different self-portraits. I also attached a disc to the lens to get a bit of an extra reflective effect. And this is the final shot that I got for that look. The second idea is experiment with different light sources and colors of light. For this, I wanted to go for a neon photography look. I have this one string of LED neon lights that light up, as well as some Christmas lights that I keep in my room, so again, I can use those for a bokeh backdrop. So I set all of that up and I put a tripod up, then I shut the blinds to my room, and after a few modifications, this was the final photo that I ended up choosing. So that's the second idea, experiment with different light sources and colors. And the third idea is go for some reflective photography. For this, I took a trip to my sister's bathroom, again, kind of a weird choice, but she's got a nice big mirror as well as those glass shower doors, so I thought I would try something with that. I messed around with a few mirrors at first, and then I ended up setting the camera down inside the shower looking out through the doors. And this is the final shot that I got. So those are the 3 shots that I'm going to edit with. Again, those are 3 different ideas, all things you can try at home and experiment and add your own twist to. And now on to the editing. For the first photo, I started by adjusting my white balance, and then I went down to my exposure, adjusted that, and I also boosted my shadows a lot to give some detail to the image, and adjusted my whites to get the exposure right and brighten up the image. Next, I went down to my curves. I'm going for that dramatic faded look, so I added some extra contrast and faded the black point. After that, I added some texture and clarity. Next, I went down to the calibration color curves and adjusted them for a teal and orange look. This means moving around the blue and red panels. In the hue panel, I pushed my warm colors towards orange and my cold colors like green, blue, purple towards teal. After that, I adjusted the saturation of the red and blue colors. Finally, for the color adjustments, I added just a little bit of split toning to accent the image with some more teal. Then I cropped the image to give it some better composition, adjusted the contrast till it looked good, and that's the final image. Again, that very clean, minimal teal and orange look, and I think the flash turned out really nice. Now for the neon photo, I also started by pushing my white balance towards the blues. I then lowered the contrast and increased the shadows to give some more detail to the image. Next, I went down to the calibration curve and pushed my blues to the left. After that, I added some split toning, again to put some more blues into the image. Under the hue panel, I pushed my blues towards teal, again teal and orange look, but this time I pushed my reds a little bit towards pink. Next, I messed around with the curves, again going for that faded contrasty look. And for some final adjustments, I adjusted the whites, the texture, and clarity of the image. So then I opened the image in Photoshop directly. I added this nice bokeh texture over the image. I resized that and added some fast motion blur. After that, I added a second layer of bokeh, adjusted that around a little bit, and then I selected both of those layers. I added a camera raw filter and played around with the red calibration curve to adjust the colors of that bokeh. So then I came back into Lightroom. I added some more blue into the image by pushing that white balance over. I then adjusted my curves once again to add that contrast faded look. Then I went down to my blues and pushed them towards teal because the teal really gives this image a nice glow. Finally, I cropped it, added some minor adjustments, and here is the final before and after. I'm not entirely satisfied with this one, but I think it's a cool experiment and it was fun to play with the neon look. And now on to the third and final look. I started by adjusting my white balance, and then I went down to my calibration curves to adjust for teal and orange. Then I went over to the split toning panel to add some blue to the image, gives it that nice cool ambience. I then added some clarity and texture to the image. So under the hue panel, I pushed my blues towards teal and I adjusted those orangey red colors as well. I also pushed my greens all the way to aqua. In the saturation panel, I pushed my blues and reds up, again trying to contrast those colors. And in the luminance panel, I took the blues down a little bit and pushed the oranges up. Playing with the luminance of teal and orange can really solidify the look. Next, I pushed my shadows up and I adjusted my curves. I pretty much used the exact same strategy, adjusting my black point and adding some contrast to the image. I then adjusted my contrast to put it at a nice level, give it some dramatic tone. Then I did some final edits, some noise reduction, added a little bit of grain and cropped the image. And there we go, that was the final look. Again, another pretty cool look. I'm happy with how this came out. So those are 3 different self-portrait experiments that you can try at home. Try taking different portraits of yourself with those different techniques. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I inspired you to try some of this out. You can check out our channel for more Lightroom tutorials and creative content. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.